BC Soccer and Canada Soccer stands at a pivotal crossroads. Are we a soccer nation? Are we going to try to be? Or is this not really for us? As the winds have changed, sweep through the grounds of our soccer fields, I have taken it upon myself to be a true follower of the beautiful game, poised to guide BC Soccer into a new era of excellence. My name is Fernando Campo, and I am more than a mere player or spectator. I hope to be a catalyst for change within BC Soccer. Through this video, my purpose is clear: to ignite a dialogue on the urgent need for restructuring, amplifying the voices of mentors and players alike, and unveiling a bold new visual identity that embodies the spirit of our soccer community. The capstone I selected to do is by no means easy. However, it is driven by my unwavering dedication to football and my deep-seated belief in its transformative power. My professional and educational goals are intricately tied to my profound passion for football. I aspire to pursue a career as a player, coach, and/or sports psychologist, among other potential roles within the realm of football. It's this passion that propels me to seek out opportunities to contribute to professional football clubs, armed with the knowledge and skills cultivated through my high school education. My capstone's main objective will be to develop, establish, and improve upon the current BC soccer system, with a particular focus on the male youth development side of BC soccer, and implementing or fortifying a pathway to professional football in British Columbia. Working on this will permit me to develop transferable skills in support of my preferred career, while building on social, leadership, and problem-solving abilities honed through my high school education. My capstone is essentially a way to satisfy the ambition of soccer-crazed individuals like myself, and finally provide the opportunities that BC players deserve to find domestically rather than abroad. The essential question that will guide my learning is: how can I create a sustainable youth football or soccer system that within its infrastructure not only provides a pathway to professional leagues, but also nurtures a lifelong passion for the sport among young players in British Columbia? It's a question that drives my every decision and fuels my determination to make a meaningful impact on the future of football in my community. Canada's footballing history is modest. While there has always been relative love and support for the game, soccer or football has never been the predominant sport. Canada has yet to achieve the same level of international acclaim as its European or even Southern American counterparts. The national team has struggled to make an impact on the global stage, with limited success in major tournaments like the FIFA World Cup and a lone CONCACAF Gold Cup win in 2000. However, Canada's footballing landscape is evolving, fueled in part by the emergence of talented young players who have made their mark on the international stage. Players like Alphonso Davies and Jonathan David, who have found success in top European leagues, exemplify the potential for Canadian players to compete at the highest levels. Jonathan David's recent success with Lille in the French Ligue 1, as highlighted in a CBC article by John Molinaro, is particularly noteworthy. Additionally, the success of other Canadian players in top European leagues such as Alphonso Davies with Bayern Munich, Atiba Hutchinson and Kyle Larin with Besiktas, and Milan Borjan with Red Star Belgrade further underscore Canada's growing presence in international football. Canada's performance in the 2022 FIFA World Cup in Qatar also showcases the country's willing progress in the sport. While the team may not have advanced far in the tournament, and some may go as far to say that we're humiliated, their presence on the world stage signals Canada's growing competitiveness in football. The experience gained from competing against top-tier teams provides invaluable lessons and sets the stage for future successes on the international level. While Canada may still be playing catch-up to the footballing giants of Europe, the trajectory is promising. With continued investment in youth development, infrastructure, and professional opportunities, Canada Soccer has the potential to carve out its own place on the global footballing stage in the years to come. To understand the current structure of BC Soccer, we must look no further than the BC Soccer Premier League, rules and regulations, designed to provide a standards-based development environment for youth players aged U14 to U18. Governed by BC Soccer and aligned with Canada Soccer's long-term player development principles, the league aims to offer clear pathways for player identification, development, and progression. Participating clubs in the BCSPL adhere to rigorous standards outlined by BC Soccer and Canada Soccer, ensuring that they meet criteria related to administration, governance, infrastructure, and technical aspects. However, while the BCSPL framework sets high standards for youth soccer development in BC, several challenges persist within the system. One significant challenge lies in the bureaucratic hurdles and inefficiencies that can hinder youth players' advancement within the system. Navigating the administrative requirements, including registration deadlines, may pose difficulties, particularly for players from smaller clubs or with limited resources. Additionally, while the BCSPL aims to provide opportunities for player advancement, there may be gaps in inclusivity within the system. Access to resources, coaching expertise, and high-quality competition may vary, impacting players from underrepresented communities or marginalized backgrounds. Moreover, logistical challenges such as travel and scheduling to remote or farther areas of BC, like the Okanagan or Vancouver Island, can present obstacles, especially for clubs in remote areas, affecting players' ability to consistently participate and access development opportunities. In my regard, the biggest problem inhibiting BC soccer from advancing anywhere near the level of European football is the lack of promotion and relegation. This problem actually goes hand in hand with the authoritative influence of the Whitecaps. Yes, the Whitecaps are a good way to promote and bring professional football to BC, but when they refuse to integrate and play within their own province, excluding friendlies, it's almost as if the province is absent of said professional football influence. In the majority of Europe, there is no elite division where no one except academies can play. Most of the time, academy teams play against local teams. The effect of this is that the level of play gets better for everyone, not only the academy players. The lack of promotion and relegation in BC is almost an homage to the classic saying, keep the rich richer and the poor even poorer. Yes, there are certain financial jumps and barriers between the leagues that keep promising talent out of BCSPL, but the biggest barrier is the fact that there are no consequences to playing good or bad. The same is seen in major American leagues. You play well, shoot for the championship. And if you're on a bad run, there's always next year. No matter what you do, your team always stays in the league you're in, which is fantastic for BCSPL clubs, but horrible for teams stuck in lower divisions of BCSCL. Finally, linking back to the lack of promotion and relegation is the negligence and very poor scouting network within BC. It's as simple as this. The Whitecaps would rather pick talent from other provinces instead. The standards and requirements to even be acknowledged by the Whitecaps as a player in BC are much stricter and demanding than for a player from Edmonton. The most controversial point is that if you don't play for a BCSPL team, you will never be looked at by the Whitecaps. Even if you are the most phenomenal player in the world, but you play for a metro team, the Whitecaps, enforced by their own rules, cannot sign you. Before changing the footballing ways of BC soccer, the image must first be changed to show that advancement is happening on all fronts, not just on the footballing horizon. I'm proud to present the new visual identity of the BC Football Federation. Our visual identity features a bold and dynamic design with vibrant blue, white, yellow, and red colors. The logo is crafted in a sleek, sans serif bold font, exuding confidence and modernity. The colors reflect the natural beauty and diversity of British Columbia, while the font choice signifies professionalism and forward thinking. Together, they represent unity, inclusivity, and progress, echoing our commitment to excellence. This new visual identity will seamlessly integrate into all league materials, from jersey patches to digital platforms, enhancing our brand presence and fostering a sense of unity among players and fans. Spanish football is renowned for its successful youth development system and impressive achievements on the international stage. Notably, Spain's national team has clinched prestigious titles such as the FIFA World Cup in 2010 and the UEFA European Championship in 2008 and 2012, showcasing the country's prowess in soccer. Spain's footballing success is attributed to its youth, emphasizing skill building, tactical understanding, and possession-based play. By emulating Spain's approach, BC soccer could establish a sustainable model for success, fostering a culture of skill development, strategic thinking, and passion for the game from a young age. As I did the Capstone, I found myself in the heart of football, and it dawned on me. I need to put a voice to each system, and who better than my fellow players and friends in both BC and Spain.
Hi, my name is Sava Petrovic. I am 16 years old, and I play for Burnaby FC.
Hi, my name is Declan Fro, and I play for the Vancouver Whitecaps U16 Academy.
My name's Ryden Orange. I'm 16 years old. I'm from Richmond, BC, and I've played soccer since I was 5 years old.
Hola, soy Dani, jugador de la Arena Armilla.
Buenas, soy Javier Martí, jugador de la Arena de Armilla.
Máximo Zavala, jugador de la Arena de Armilla.
Buenas, soy Ryan, jugador de la Arena de Armilla.
In all my interviews, I asked 3 questions. 1. Player development approach. 2. Focus on opportunities for advancement. And 3. A key aspect of a successful youth soccer system. Here's how the players responded. Let's start the interview process by looking at the Spanish system and what its players has to say about it.
Yo creo que la organización es perfecta para que el jugador se vaya desarrollando de menor a mayor y pueda llegar a descubrirse él y formarse de la mejor manera.
Pues a la hora de llegar a fútbol profesional, el fútbol español te prepara muy bien porque hay mucha competitividad en todos los equipos y creo que hay buenas salidas a cantera. Creo que está bien, la verdad, hay bastantes posibilidades y te esfuerzas.
Bueno, lo nervioso que pueden llegar a poner a los más jóvenes, a los más chicos, desde tempranas edades, y yo creo que eso también es una de las cosas malas de esto, del sistema, porque creo que a niños de edades tempranas los someten a demasiada presión y es normal que luego muchas veces no quieran jugar al fútbol, no quieran disfrutar de este deporte. Y a veces es entendible por toda la presión que se les pone encima, siendo tan chiquitillos cuando deberían disfrutar, ¿no? Con estas edades. Bueno, yo creo que, por lo menos desde mi experiencia, estaba en altas categorías, si es verdad, y he estado en equipos también que han estado ahí arriba. Yo creo que lo mejor que me puedo quedar es cómo enseñan los entrenadores a día de hoy, ¿no? Que, bueno, la mayoría, no todos, pero la mayoría creo que intentan enseñar a jugar, intentan también que disfrutes del fútbol, ¿no? Porque al final es lo importante de este deporte, de también disfrutarlo, y bueno, te enseñan también de lo que eres capaz de hacer. Yo sinceramente creo que de la manera en la que le ayudan es enseñándole las tácticas, intentando ver cómo se refleja en el fútbol profesional, ¿no? Intentar hacerles profesionales desde pequeños, sin quitar también sin quitar lo de que disfruten y tal, pero también es importante que nos hayan enseñado a ser profesionales desde pequeños. Y bueno, luego lo malo, pues el tema a nivel mental, lo que puede llevar a someter lo de la presión a los jugadores. A veces pues, es normal que dejen de jugar fútbol.
Mi experiencia, tanto en el argentino como en el español, es muy buena. En el argentino más todo por la parte física, la formación bastante estricta, donde me ayudó a marcar mi disciplina, mis valores en cuanto a lo físico. A jugabilidad también ayudó mucho el español, ya que se juega demasiado distinto, muchos toques, más perfección. Yo creo que eso te va formando y me hace más fuerte como jugador.
Bueno, pues yo lo que haría sería, para los que juegan arriba o los que juegan abajo, pues que si no se juega nada un equipo, o por ejemplo muchos equipos que están en mitad de tabla, pues por lo menos que hagan una copa o una liguilla también, para que no se pierda esa competitividad que hay. Porque la verdad mucha gente cuando está en un equipo que no se juega nada, pues se le quitan las ganas de jugar fútbol y la verdad es que da una pena, ya que si eres bueno y eso, la verdad es que no tienes por qué desaprovechar una oportunidad.
Le daría más importancia a la formación en cuanto a la categoría y distintas sedes. Que estén las cosas claras, no haya choques de diferencia, de opiniones, que esté la división bien nivelada en cuanto al tipo de jugadores y tipo de club.
Me gustaría que a la hora de, por ejemplo, equipos que en mitad lleguen a las jornadas finales y jugarse ni descenso ni ascenso, pues porque más arriba o más abajo le premiaran para que se fomentara la competitividad hasta el final de la liga.
Yo creo que para realmente hacer jugadores más profesionales sería ver el tema a nivel mental, que podríamos perfectamente, se podría ver porque es algo importante en el mundo del fútbol. No solo puedes tener piernas, sino también tienes que tener mucha cabeza y tienes que saber los momentos, tienes que saber llevar los momentos, ¿no? Cuando la cosa se pone difícil, cuando tú a nivel mental estás mal o no gestionas bien tus emociones y tal dentro del campo, y eso es algo que creo que se debe implementar cursos o psicólogos, ¿no? Algo así, para, yo qué sé, bueno, para mejorar a nivel mental y gestionar bien tus emociones, tanto dentro como fuera del campo. Yo creo que le daría prioridad a equipos de pueblo, como por ejemplo nosotros o cualquier otro, yo creo, porque las canteras sí es verdad que se nota mucho la ventaja que pueden llegar a tener. Ya no solo que trabajan prácticamente, por no decir profesionales ya, sino yo creo que podrían implementar eso, ¿no? El hecho de mejorar ya los recursos, en general todo de los equipos de pueblo, que muchos de ellos no tienen, y hay jugadores bastante buenos y yo creo que incluso hay jugadores mucho mejores que jugadores que hay en tercera, digo, en canteras y demás.
After hearing that valuable insight from the Spanish players, hearing the negatives and the positives, let's take a look at what BC soccer players have to say about their system.
Some strength could be that often if you want to go and you want to improve and you want to like talk to coaches and do some extra work on your own and really take a like a kind of personal approach in your development, a lot of the time the coaches and other staff will be willing to help you in that. I think that often a weakness can be that it's a little bit too centered around just the team winning and the team kind of progressing rather than the individual player and how they've been doing. And I also think that at times like the play style can kind of be surrounded around that as well. At times maybe teams don't really play the proper way of football because they're looking to just win and just looking to get the biggest guys, the best guys.
There's tons of academies that are showing up nowadays, tons of teams to play for, so there's a lot of people getting chances to get minutes, you know, start to find a love for the game.
I think it's really easy to get into. There's many programs around BC, lots of fields. It's a sport everyone enjoys.
But a big weakness in the system is that there's only really about 3 academies in the whole country that Canada Soccer really recognizes, which being Montreal Impact, Toronto FC, and Vancouver Whitecaps. So if you're not on one of those academies, it's extremely, well, it's pretty much impossible to get onto the Canadian national team from there. So all these other teams that are academies that are still, some of them producing more than what these Whitecaps guys are producing. A good thing about the developmental process in Canada is that they identify you from a young age. So for example, I started playing in an actual club when I was about 7 years old, Richmond FC, and then I came all the way through there until I decided to join another academy for extra minutes, extra training, which I'm still with to this day due to all the European trips, the high level of coaching and everything.
I think that one area that the soccer system in BC sometimes struggles is kind of like the middle age group. I think when you're young, there's lots of opportunities to play and just get touches on the ball and get those fundamental skills. But I think it's when you kind of get to U11 to U14, 15, where sometimes the game becomes a little bit more team-based and the opportunities to really progress and really in those prime years to really like get where you need to be technically and tactically. I think that sometimes it can be lacking there.
A lot more freedom. You're not under contract, and I think that's a shortcoming with the Canadian soccer systems. Once you're with these academies, you're with them for a while, right? So you're under contract, and then you can't really get that exposure that you would want to other countries, directly to Europe and things like that. And you can't even get a national team call up if you're not on one of those MLS teams.
For myself, in soccer in BC, I think that I've had a lot of good opportunities to kind of progress through the ranks. From a young age, they gave us lots of opportunities to try to show ourselves like to the coaches, and I know that I played up for a few years when I was really young, which was nice to kind of challenge me. And for myself, I went from Richmond FC and I got an opportunity at TSS where the coaching was great and they gave us tons of opportunities to show ourselves. And then from there, I got an opportunity to trial with the Vancouver Whitecaps.
Well, I think that having a coach with the right amount of knowledge, qualification, and experience provides the player with a sense of comfort, and it also provides the player with the right foundation to make it farther in the game. And if if the youth soccer system here in BC doesn't have that, or if the player doesn't have those foundations, we're already behind.
For soccer in BC, I think that the most important thing is the coaching. I think that having a good coach can change you as a player, and having a bad coach can change you as a player in a bad way, obviously. I think that it's really important for the coach to really care about the development of each player and not just, oh, hopefully this team's doing well. It's obviously important for the team to, have tactics and do well, but I think that they should be focusing more on player development and kind of hold the standard of the coaching a little bit higher. Maybe they could have some of their higher members like seeing some games, seeing some training sessions of different teams to making sure that the teams are hopefully playing the right way.
For me, one of the most important things is the individuality of players, letting players play as who they are and not coaching them to be like certain this, certain that, letting them have the freedom to express themselves. Not every player develops at the same rate, or not every player can run at the same speed. Not every player's got as fast feet as the next guy. It's all about, personal development. I think that's one thing that needs to be focused on is the personal coaching, like getting personal to the players, identifying what each player can do better, what each player doesn't need to work on, what each player needs to be mentally stronger, physically stronger, technically stronger. It's not as simple as just coaching a team and making them a team, because at the end of the day, everybody's got the same goal to try to become a professional player.
After hearing from the players, it's only natural to shift from player interviews to mentor insights, where I find myself with Colin Elms, who has seen and knows just about everything about BC Soccer's past, present, and future.
I'm Colin Elms. I'm the owner and sporting director of TSS Rovers Football Club. The youth levels, even though the structure is now allowing more freedom to learn and less pressure on, standings and scores and all this sort of business, we still spend far too much of our time here in Canada, British Columbia specifically, contriving ways to win football matches. Even at the level where there's no standings and no scores recorded. Unfortunately, egos, mostly male, enter the equation, adult males, and we spend too much time. As we well know, if I just wanted to win at football at the younger ages, there's certain things that I can do. I can set myself up in a certain way. I can pick certain players, and I can certainly ask them to do a couple of fairly rudimentary things that will allow us to have a bit more chance of getting a result success. The problem is it jumps over an enormous amount of fundamental things that our players need to learn. I always say our job is to teach young players how to play football, not necessarily how to win at football. And that doesn't mean winning isn't important, and we want the players to want to win and to strive to win. But if that's all they're being guided on, or that's all they're thinking about, it causes us huge problems down the road, because the reality is not enough of our players learn how to play the game. They just learn how to solve short-term problems in particular matches or segments of leagues or whatever. And then when you start to advance up the ladder of the game, and those simple things that allow you to win at the youth levels are much harder to navigate when you get older, because the players are more sophisticated and the coaching's more sophisticated. We don't necessarily have answers to that, and therefore we spend a lot of time spinning our wheels. And then the next big thing for me is that there's not enough people here that recognize that what we're doing is not good enough.
Yeah.
As I say, and I've said this many times, a bit of a strange comparison, but I use this fairly often. If somebody was an alcoholic, what do they need to do before they start their recovery? They need to admit that they're an alcoholic.
Yeah.
Our problem here is we don't admit enough. We may do it behind closed doors on occasion, but we don't admit enough that we're not very good at this, and that our club has got it right and everybody else has got it wrong, or the people above us, the Whitecaps or BC Soccer or Toronto FC or the CPL teams have all, they're not picking the right players and they're not training those players properly. I always say to my staff, if a training session goes wrong, the first place you look is in the mirror. What did I do or not do today that allowed that to unfold, right? And that's a hard thing to do because we have a tendency to point fingers and well, it's the players or it's this or the weather wasn't great or I didn't have enough, everybody was hogging all the mini goals on the field and I didn't have enough equipment or whatever it is. But the reality is the first place you need to go is yourself. And that is a big issue, I think, in our soccer community. Everybody thinks that they're all right, Jack, and everybody else is tripping all over themselves and doing things wrong. And the reality is we are all to blame. I do have a story from when I was being scouted, watched by the Whitecaps in the early 80s. And they do these goofy drafts here, as you know, in sport in North America. And so there was a draft coming up, and I was told by the main scout for the club that I was going to be in the draft, that I was going to be drafted by the Vancouver Whitecaps in my grade 12 year. And he was at a bunch of games. The dialogue was being used on a regular basis. And so I wasn't going to say it was a slam dunk, but I thought I was being drafted. And then the segment, that was 42 years ago now. Is that right? Yeah. 42 years ago. But the reality is I'm gonna say that we haven't really gotten much better at the structure of this and properly sort of managing people and players' hopes and expectations and stuff. I still hear stories from our League One guys who have been turned away, been a pro for a little while and turned back, and the lack of sort of humanity. What contributes to that in our country? It's just the lack of structure and the lack of understanding. The NHL draft and the junior hockey and all that sort of is so much more professional and so much more polished when it comes to handling people. I'm sure they make mistakes there and maybe don't deal with human beings as well as they should. But the reality is there's a system there that's built. And here it's the wild, wild west, as we say. So part of our problem in this country is our model's upside down. The parent drives the club, drives the district, drives the provincial association, drives the national association. So what it should be is what would fix a lot of this would be central registration. So if you as a young soccer player in Richmond with us or Richmond FC back in the day, if your parents were paying Canada Soccer to play soccer in Canada and the money poured down and not up, it's always harder to pour up, right? If the money was with Canada Soccer and then it came down through the funnel, I think personally we would not be anywhere near where we are right now from a dysfunctional kind of, lost in the wilderness still at times. And I know our men got to the World Cup in 2022, but what happened after that with our NSO and everything, it is just shocking to me. There was talk of Canada Soccer declaring bankruptcy and stuff, and so I think if somebody had figured out a way to and I'm not saying that Canada Soccer would have made all the right decisions, because they probably wouldn't have, because none of us do, frankly. But if Canada Soccer had control of the money, I think, I'm not going to say we would have won the World Cup by now, because that's a huge stretch. The problem is when the model's upside down, the NSO, Canada Soccer, and the PSO, British Columbia Soccer Association, are literally tiptoeing around the membership because the governance is all wrong. And so the clubs literally, and the individual players and parents, are driving the process here. And so, yeah, I'm going to say that until that gets managed better or fixed with central registration, there's always going to be a bunch of challenges here when it comes to, the successes and failures of the people who govern our game.
Yeah,
Case in point. Over the years, Canada Soccer, it's not hockey. There's not, corporations falling all over themselves to sponsor and whatnot, right? And certainly we've not had a lot of success. No World Cup from '86 on the men's side all the way to 2022. Canada Soccer, over the years, in an attempt to raise more money, have gone to the PSOs, the provincial sport organizations, and said, we need to raise the amount of the fees that you collect so that we can take a bigger cut. And so, I don't know, I think there's 900,000 kids playing soccer in Canada right now. So if you think about that, Fernando, if they could raise the fees they collect by $10, that's a lot of dough. They go to the PSO, and the PSO says, oh, okay. And then the PSO goes to the membership, which are the districts and the clubs. And of course, somebody like yourself who knows the game and strives to be the best player, and your parents support that, they'll be like, yeah, $10 for sure. That raises $9 million for our governing, our national governing body. I'm cool with that. It's $10, like going to Starbucks, right? Some of the people in the system who are very recreational will say, my kid's never going to play for Canada. Why on earth do I want to? No, don't raise my fees. Don't you dare raise my fees, right? And stuff. And so you can see the dilemma we have, right? Canada Soccer's trying to raise more money, and they literally, no joke, have to ask the parents if that's okay. And if enough of the parents go off about it, then the governance model, which is upside down, right? They go back to their club and they say, no way. And then the club goes to the district and goes, oh, we get a lot of resistance on this, right? And then the district goes to the PSO, BC Soccer, and says, whoa, this is causing a lot of problems. And then the PSO goes to the NSO and says, sorry guys, nobody wants to give up any more money to do this, right? And Canada Soccer's got to walk away with their tail between their legs. I am not an expert in player development, but I have expertise in the Canadian problem, just because I've been through it as a player, coach, sporting director, owner, and I've seen pretty well everything. I'm going to say our biggest issue here is people don't understand that this is a late developer sport. And we spend far too much of our energy and time oohing and awing over 11-year-olds who appear to have a fairly high aptitude for the game. But we know, because statistics, history, research has shown that the best 11-year-olds are rarely the best players when they're 18, 19, 20. And we make the same mistakes over and over and over again, not keeping the base of the players more broad, what's the saying? As many as possible, for as long as possible, in the best environments as possible. And we tend to grab the best players down below at those ages, 11, 12, 13, and we push everybody else away, and we work with these 20 or whatever it is, and we don't have any efficient system to monitor and continue to help the players just below that level to thrive and grow. And the reality is if we're smart, and some people are around here for sure, we know that the players standing in front of us at U12, U13, and 14, some of them unfortunately might have already peaked. I know that's awful because they're little kids, but that's the reality. They're going to burn out. And yeah, we tend to celebrate those players, and then next thing you know, Johnny is training 7 days a week, and he doesn't have a balanced life. And by the time he's 14, he hates football. People playing football right now who are here just to achieve something rather than because they love the game, right? And they accept the fact that some decisions aren't going to go their way, but they love the game, so it doesn't matter, right? Yeah, they'll be upset for a day or two if a decision doesn't go their way, but they get back on their bike and they show up at training and they want to play and they keep playing, right? There's too many people here that attach outcome to success, unique and odd and not very positive outlook on the game here, a perspective of the game that we need to have. And I'm not saying, I've seen documentaries on, academy football in England and players getting tossed out of that environment with no hope, right? Put everything they have in their lives into this. And so that's the other side of it. But I think we we pretend that we're kind of trying to do that, but the reality is we're actually not. We're catering to something that frankly isn't sort of normal from a footballing perspective. It's all about, resumes and whatnot.
Before we head into the final and most important part of the project, let's remind ourselves and take one last look at how BC Soccer currently functions. Though BC Soccer extends all the way to BCCSL, where there are lower divisions, those being Division 1, 2, and 3, the BC Soccer Premier League stands as a pinnacle in youth soccer development across British Columbia, catering to players aged U13 to U18. Initially established in 2011 with 8 founding franchise clubs, the league has since expanded and evolved, claiming to maintain its commitment to excellence and player-centric principles. The BCSPL is comprised of 13 distinguished clubs strategically spread across the province: Coastal, Coquitlam Metroford, Fusion, Langley United, Nanaimo, North Vancouver, Mountain United FC, Thompson Okanagan FC, TSS Rovers, Surrey FC, Surrey United Soccer Club, Van Isle Wave, and Vancouver United FC. The BCSPL season operates in 2 distinct phases, annually, providing a comprehensive framework for player development and competition. Preseason starts in January. Players undergo physical and mental preparation tailored to their positional requirements and team strategies. Normally, there's indoor competition. In the Lower Mainland, clubs engage in organized indoor soccer games due to weather constraints, while clubs outside the Lower Mainland focus on regional indoor training. League competition goes from March to May. Teams compete in a round-robin format, culminating in final placements and seedings for the Provincial Cup. Provincial Cup competition starts in June, and teams enter a knockout tournament featuring quarterfinals through to a final with the victors crowned provincial champions. Phase 2 is from August to December. Preseason in August, similar to Phase 1, players undergo preparation ahead of league competition. League competition during September to November, teams engage in round-robin matches with final placements determining the league champions. Additionally, a League Cup competition is held through a playoff format. Now, the off-season, during July and December, players utilize this time for rest and alternative physical development activities or sports. The league structure strives to emphasize a holistic approach to player development, aligning with Canada Soccer's long-term player development principles. Participating clubs are required to meet stringent criteria, ensuring adherence to administrative, governance, infrastructure, and technical standards outlined by Canada Soccer's National Youth Club License and the BCSPL's rules and regulations. This commitment to excellence is complemented by the league's focus on providing clear pathways for player identification and advancement, ranging from provincial programming to opportunities in university, League One BC, professional, and national team environments. By fostering a culture of continuous improvement and maintaining high quality standards, the BCSPL attempts to earn its place as a cornerstone of youth soccer development in British Columbia. Now for the culmination of my project, the grueling and time-consuming process of analyzing BC soccer, redesigning its visual identity, listening to players and mentors alike, and most importantly, listening to my own experiences. I'm proud to introduce the restructured BC Football Federation system for youth football, a dynamic and inclusive framework imagined and fit to redefine soccer in British Columbia. In the restructured football pyramid of British Columbia, practicality takes precedence to enhance competition, talent development, and inclusivity. The BC Youth Premier League, BCYPL, crowns the structure with 20 elite teams competing for excellence. Below, the BC Youth Major League, BCYML, splits into two groups, ensuring balanced representation across urban and expansive regions. The BC Youth Football League, BCYF, encompasses Tier 1, Tier 2, and Tier 3, each tailored to nurture talent within municipalities. Specifically for players under 10, BCYF Tier 1 provides the highest level of competition, emphasizing skill growth and localized play. This pragmatic restructuring aims to provide clear pathways for players of all ages and abilities to progress within British Columbia's soccer community. The BCFF's tiered system and promotion relegation structure provide a clear pathway for youth soccer development in British Columbia. By integrating academies and local clubs while promoting competition and development, the Federation aims to enhance the overall quality of youth soccer in the province. Continued monitoring and adjustments will be necessary to ensure fairness and effectiveness in the promotion and relegation process. This pyramid only applies from U11 to U19 age groups. This system was also built with the objective of encouraging the European concept of academies or canteras in Spanish. What I'm referring to, of course, is that this system should and will encourage all professional and semi-professional teams to establish their own academies to be a competitive force in the BCYF. However, a byproduct or even a reward of the development of competitive academy programs among BC clubs will be the amount of homegrown talent it will produce, which is beneficial for both players as they get more chances to break through into professional football, and clubs that won't have to spend big or unnecessarily look abroad for signings. The BC Youth Premier League stands as the pinnacle of youth soccer in British Columbia, showcasing 20 elite teams selected based on exceptional talent and commitment to excellence. To start, the teams that will get automatic berth to the BCYPL will be the Vancouver Whitecaps, an affiliate B team being Village FC or 86ers, League 1 BC clubs, CPL clubs, and the remaining places will go to strong local clubs from the old BCSPL. Each squad represents a culmination of years of dedication and hard work, with players honing their skills to compete at the highest level. Within the BCYPL, promotion to higher tiers is not in play, emphasizing the league's focus on maintaining a standard of excellence. However, the bottom 4 teams face relegation, ensuring that competition remains fierce and teams are held accountable for their performance. The BC Youth Major League is a dynamic and diverse league divided into 2 groups, strategically structured to balance competition and development across urban and expansive regions of British Columbia. Group 1, Vancouver, Burnaby, New Westminster, Richmond, North Vancouver, West Vancouver, and Bowen Island hosts 12 teams, fostering intense local rivalries and high-quality competition. In contrast, Group 2 accommodates 12 teams from more extensive regions: Delta, Surrey, Langley, Abbotsford, Kamloops, Okanagan, Coquitlam, Port Moody, Pitt Meadows, Maple Ridge, Vancouver Island, ensuring representation from various communities. Promotion of the top 2 teams from each group of the BCYPL serves as a tangible goal for aspiring players and teams, while relegating the bottom 3 from each group to BCYF Tier 1 encourages accountability and continuous improvement. At the grassroots level, the BC Youth Football League, or the BCYF, comprises 3 tiers, each meticulously structured to nurture talent across municipalities within British Columbia. Divided into 5 groups within each tier, these divisions provide opportunities for players of varying skill levels to compete, develop, and progress within the soccer community without the demands of traveling across BC. Divided into 5 groups based on municipalities, District 1 includes Vancouver, Burnaby, Richmond, and New Westminster. District 2 covers Delta, Surrey, Langley, Abbotsford, Kamloops, and the Okanagan. District 3 encompasses Coquitlam, Port Moody, Pitt Meadows, and Maple Ridge. District 4 comprises North Vancouver, West Vancouver, and Bowen Island, and District 5 represents Vancouver Island. Promotion and relegation mechanisms within each tier ensures fluidity and competitiveness, allowing teams to rise to the ranks based on performance. The specific criteria and performance-based approach to promotions and relegations aim to maintain balance and ensure that opportunities for advancement are accessible to all teams, irrespective of their origins or resources. By structuring each league with meticulous attention to detail and providing clear pathways for advancement, the BC Football Federation aims to create an environment where players of all skill levels can thrive, compete, and realize their potential within the football community of British Columbia. For players under the age of 10, the BC Youth Football League, BCYF, is meticulously structured to provide a nurturing and developmental pathway within the soccer community of British Columbia. At the core of this framework lies BCYF Tier 1, serving as the highest level of competition for young athletes in this age group. BCYF Tier 1 operates within the existing 5 groups, each based on municipalities, ensuring localized play while maintaining competitive standards. To accommodate the diverse needs and participation levels of young players, BCYF Tier 1 may implement further subdivisions within each group as necessary. These subdivisions enable clubs to tailor competitions to the skill levels and developmental stages of their participants, fostering an environment where every player can thrive and grow. By providing a structured yet adaptable framework, BCYF Tier 1 aims to create a positive and inclusive environment where young players can develop their skills, build friendships, and cultivate a love for the game of soccer. Through localized competition, personalized coaching, and opportunities for advancement, BCYF Tier 1 sets the stage for the continued growth and success of young athletes in British Columbia. The BCFF Youth Cup stands as a pinnacle event within the soccer calendar of British Columbia, showcasing the best talent from across the province. This prestigious tournament brings together all teams from the BC Youth Premier League, along with the top 6 teams from each group in the BC Youth Major League, ensuring a competitive and diverse field of participants. Spanning throughout the season, the BCFF Youth Cup adds an extra layer of excitement and intensity to the regular league play. The tournament kicks off with a draw to determine matchups, setting the stage for exhilarating clashes from the outset. From there, it's a straight knockout format, starting with a round of 32 and culminating in a thrilling final showdown. As teams battle it out on the pitch, the BCFF Youth Cup epitomizes the essence of soccer competition, with the ultimate glory awaiting the visitors at the end of their journey. The final will be played 1 week after all league play is finished. In summary, my Capstone project aims to revolutionize BC soccer by addressing key challenges and proposing concrete solutions for a brighter future. By acknowledging the shortcomings of the current system and drawing inspiration from successful models like Spain's youth development, I seek to establish a more inclusive and sustainable soccer ecosystem in British Columbia. Through a bold new visual identity and a redesigned league structure, my project embodies a call to action for change, offering a pathway towards excellence and opportunity for soccer enthusiasts across the province. With dedication and innovation, we can shape a legacy that honors our passion for the beautiful game and propels BC soccer to new heights. Thank you. I'm Fernando Campo, and this was my Capstone project.